Hi, folks. I'm Sarah Marshall, your operations architect, and welcome back to episode 6 of the Value Delivery Spine. In the past episodes, we have walked through all the strategic planning efforts, and now we're finally turning to actually the build and to deliver the capabilities. So we're going to start with solutioning for value, the things that we need to think about in terms of developing a solution, design considerations, etc. And we'll just jump right into it. There's a number of challenges with solutioning, especially for big complex capabilities. The first one is alignment. Everybody that's involved with solutioning for capability comes at it from a different perspective with a different set of facts. So getting them to align on what the problem is actually one of the biggest challenges we have. Because once we've nailed down the problem, we can build a solution for it. But agreeing to what the problem is a challenge, and we'll get into the reasons why in a few minutes. Additionally, we have developed our commitments. In the last episode, we talked about OKRs and that the KR, the key result that we are associating with our effort, is the thing that we're trying to get done in this cycle. So we have a set of commitments that we're working towards in terms we have to meet the criteria of the KR. And no one solution is going to be perfect for that, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. And then finally, we're operating with imperfect intelligence. We don't have all the facts. We will never have all the facts because they will emerge after we've deployed the solution. But we attempt to capture as much as we can. We make the assumptions on stuff that we don't know, and we track those assumptions to make sure that our imperfect intelligence doesn't trip us up later. So the approach that we take to solutioning is threefold. First, establishing the portfolio. The portfolio is the bundle of things that we are tackling in this cycle, which would include all of the solutions that we are developing to meet all the KRs we've committed to in this cycle. And there may be many. I've worked in organizations where we've been dealing with 50 to 150 KRs that we are trying to deliver capability to. So that portfolio of capabilities needs to be managed for a couple reasons. One is we don't want a clash of the solutions. In other words, is there overlaps, gaps, dependencies that we need to consider in those solutions. And the other is which is going to be the most important to deliver in this cycle. If we are choosing between the selected solutions that are in our bundle, which one's the most important, which one's the least important, we need to know that, because when things happen during the course of building out and what we believe in terms of the value we're going to deliver changes, we need to have a mechanism to shift things around so we can continue to maximize our value. Finally, we've already talked about defining the problem, and we need an approach to doing that will get alignment across the organization and capture as many of the on-the-ground facts as we can. And then finally, we need a solution at all levels, strategic, operational, and systems, and we'll get into that as well. All right, let's start with the portfolio. And the portfolio, as I described, is that bundle of solutions that we are going to build programs and projects around to deliver in this cycle. And that portfolio will be ranging, have a lot of different kinds of things in it. Each of them should be working against the established KR that we are trying to meet for this cycle. And the solutions delivered are the ones that are in that approved bundle of solutions that we are going to go after. And we need to develop those solutions to best fit the KR requirements. And when we need support, we need to request that support and manage the risks as they emerge. So we need something in the middle, some mechanism in the middle between all those program and project leads managing those solution delivery programs and projects and the established KRs that we are monitoring at the senior leadership level to make sure that we are meeting our commitments. And that is the portfolio management capability. And that portfolio management simply looks at all the things that we're going to deliver, all the programs, projects, the solutions that we're going to deliver, and makes sure that we are resourced to deliver each, that we are supporting each as needs to be delivered, and that we are delivering them as a whole package and bundle during the cycle. To do that, we make sure that we are tied to our KRs so that we are delivering to our commitments. We also need to prioritize, and in later episodes we will get into the how to prioritize, but just know we need to find a way to prioritize that bundle of solutions so that when things change, we know where to bend resources, we know where to provide additional support, and then that portfolio team also makes sure that they're monitoring performance of those solutions so that they can recommend adjustments as need be, and then provide that monitoring for performance of solution delivery and our recommendations for how we deal with things. And that is the purpose for portfolio management, is to ensure that we are maximizing our value regardless of what we find along the way with the solutions that we're developing. So let's talk about defining that problem. The big challenge there in defining the problem is identifying rigorously all the aspects of that solution and then aligning the leadership team around it. And as I've said, the stakeholders that are working on solutions tend to come at it with a different fact set and a different experience set, so they'll have a strong point of view that may differ from each other in terms of what that problem is. So I like to use a technique called painting the elephant. There's an old saw about 7 blind mice in the jungle, and they hear a noise, and the first blind mouse runs out and touches the thing and says, "I think it's a snake." And the second one runs out and says, "I think it's a fan." And the third one runs out and says, "I think it's a rope." And they go on till 6 of them have tried to define it, and they all come back and say it's something different. Then the 7th mouse goes out, goes up and down and all around, and comes back and says, "No, it's an elephant." And that's what we want to do. We want to assemble those pieces, like you see our jigsaw elephant over here, is we want to put together all those pieces and then paint it for everybody so that they can all get agreement on what the general problem is that we need to solve. And it also helps you to rigorously pull together as much of the information as you can. Once you've defined the general aspects of it, you also want to dive into the details of it and make sure you're rigorously pulling as much of the detail up as you can in terms of what is problematic. There are a ton of methodologies out there you could use. I'm going to show you a simple one because it's easy to understand, and that's the fishbone diagram, in which we have this big problem statement, and then we start pulling off the various aspects of the problem and define in terms of what it means for, say, revenue impacts or operational efficiencies or vendor management. We look at all aspects of that problem so that we have fully defined the problem to everyone's satisfaction. Solutioning at all levels means that we need to look at all impacts of what that solution might mean. First, you have the strategic impacts, and those strategic impacts come in the form of, we've talked about the business model and the organization structure and infrastructure we might have in place, the norms, the cultural norms of the organization, and the people's experience and expertise and the number of folks that we need to be considered as well. And this goes both ways. The strategic direction will tell the solution what they have to work with, and the solution is also going to map back what is needed, and it may require some changes to some of those areas, one or more of those areas in the strategic impacts. The second level is the operation impacts. Considerations include what do leaders need out of that process in order to support decision making, ensure performance is where it needs to be, and that will lead to some interesting permutations on what that solution might look at. And is that solution a core value effort in terms of either building or delivering product and services to our clients and customers, or is it an enabling effort that supports the organization, such as finances, workforce management, facilities, equipment, etc.? What are the impacts at each of those levels? And we need to understand those so that we solution for the opportunity and the organization and not just locally for our local needs. Finally, there's the system impacts. So if our operations formalize to the degree that we need to institutionalize them in a system, what systems do we have? What systems do we need? And here's a list of some of the larger blocks of capability that we tend to deal with in systems management, including customer relationship management to deal with channel activity, prospects, etc., supply chain management to deal with the moving materials through the organization until they're finished products, enterprise resource planning to deal with the human, manufacturing, finance, and accounting capital that we need to deal with. And then finally, knowledge management with our websites, our collaboration technology, and our various technologies to manage our data and give us intelligence out of that data. So all three of these aspects need to be considered in our solutioning, and our solution doesn't mean we need to put all three things in place, but we need to make sure that we are covered in all three aspects so that our solution performs at its optimal level. So the summary here is we have a number of challenges in solutioning. The biggest ones are really comprehending that problem and getting alignment on what that problem is. We need to build a portfolio so we ensure that we maximize the value of everything we deliver in this cycle through managing resources against our emerging needs and ensuring that the right solutions are being developed or being delivered in order to maximize our value against our strategic opportunities. And then the solutioning, we need to think about it in terms of from the strategic, operational, and systems level and ensure that we understand the impacts so that when we do deliver, we deliver minimum viable product, a solution that supports us at least to the minimum degree that it is required until we can fully mature that coverage. And any solution we deliver is going to come with a requisite amount of organizational pain, and that organizational pain is in terms of struggling with the change, understanding it, and making sure that we can perform well. So if you want to know more about solutioning for value, you can read my article, Solutioning for Value, on my blog site, along with the rest of the materials I have up there. You can see that at www.operations-architect.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.